Hey, and welcome back to the channel for another video. So today's video, we're going to do something different. Every year I follow an event called Halloween Horror Nights. It's ran around the world by Universal Studios, and what they do is they set up haunted houses at the event that everyone walks through. On top of that, they have these things called scare icons. Now, scare icons are like the major villain that the whole event attaches to. So what my mates and I thought would be good for us to do is basically educate everyone on the icons' backstories, their origin stories. So that leads me to the mission. Me and my mates have written a bunch of markdown descriptions, and we want to put those onto a website. So we want to take the markdown files, generate a website, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to do it with a software library called eleventy. So using eleventy, that'll output the website, and then we're also going to post it / deploy it to Azure. And that's going to mean once it's in Azure that everyone can go read those descriptions and better get to know the scare icons. So if you're down for the challenge, try and follow along, but otherwise, let's get started. Okay, so here we are inside Visual Studio Code once again. Let's take a look at the starting files we have for this mission. So we can see on the left here, we've got 3 markdown files. Each one's for a different scare actor, a scare icon, which we've decided to show on the website. So we've got Caretaker, Storyteller, and Jack the Clown. Now with those markdown files, we're going to be producing them into a website using a software library called eleventy. And for that, we need this eleventy configuration file. It allows us to declare all our plugins and also to define different functions which we can call out to. Now, let's have a look at the packages we've actually installed in the process. So we've installed an eleventy package, which is the core package for eleventy. We've installed eleventy-navigation, which is a navigation plugin for eleventy, which allows us to do our top level navigation and also our permalinks. And then we've also installed clean CSS, which basically takes our CSS and makes it a lot smaller in size, which is really good. And I'm talking that's going down from megabytes to kilobytes, etc., etc. So make sure you take a look at it. So with all of that, let's get started. To get started, I'm going to go here and create an index.html. Now I'm going to go here and change this to HTML because it hasn't detected it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in my HTML code. This is what I'm going to start with. You can see I'm bringing in some Google fonts as well. We'll go through Google fonts in another video. But that's basically that started. Now, in the world of eleventy, the goal of it is, instead of declaring it here inside this index.html, I actually want all of the pages to use this index. So I want Caretaker, Jack the Clown, all of those files to all use this one. And to do that, we use a template. So you'll see that inside these code files, there's a core layout.njk, which stands for nunjuk. Now, that nunjuk file is going to be used basically by eleventy to transform those markdowns into the website. You can use other libraries like mustache.js inside eleventy. It's really up to you in terms of what you use to compile. So let's write our core layout template. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our heading above the top. And actually, before we do this, why don't we actually start the website? So let's go across and let's actually start it up. To start it up, I'm going to do npm run start because I've already done a script from before. You'll notice it runs npx eleventy serve. That's actually going to watch the website for when I do changes inside Visual Studio Code. So that's pretty cool. So going across here, we can see I've got a blank page. What I'll do is I will go to the front page. It's also going to be blank, but this is where we're going to start. Let's talk about what we're going to design. So nice and quickly. Up the top left, we're going to put the scare icon's name. We're going to put an image as well on the left. We're also going to put the description which comes out of the markdown file. On the top right, we're going to put our navigation, and that's it for the simple website. So let's get started doing that. So going back to Visual Studio Code, let's fill out that template that I said before. So doing that, we're going to first use a variable called title that we're going to pass through. So for doing that, we're going to go div class equals heading to just contain it. We're going to close that off. And inside of there, I'm going to put another div. And then inside of that div, I'm going to put my heading. And that's where we're going to use the title. So to use a variable in eleventy, I just do those squiggly brackets, and that's all done. And then I'm just going to go and close that off. And then inside of here, I'm also going to put my navigation. So I'm going to go here and take it from another code file that I've got. So put that inside of here, and that's our navigation done. You can see that this navigation, it basically looks through all of the collection of navigation pages we've declared, and that's inside our markdown, and I'll show that in a second. And then it iterates, and you can see here that I'm using a class to declare some custom highlighting if it's been selected or not. So with that done, that's basically that. Let's go ahead and let's actually use that in our index.html. So to do that, I'm going to put this code in here. We're going to go 3 hyphens, and then inside of here, we're going to go layout. We're going to go core layout.njk. Then next, we're going to go, we're not going to do that. We're going to do that. Then we're going to go title, main, and we're then going to go 3 hyphens. And you'll see that I'm going to change this actually back to my Nodejs format. And then when I go inside of here, I'm actually going to make this across to select scare icon to see their description. And then we're going to go across to our browser and just check how that looks. So we can see we've got there, we've got our main, which was our title, and we can also see that we've got Storyteller and Jack the Clown. So let's go across back to Visual Studio Code and let's add some more in. So we want to bring in the description. So let's do that now. So for the description, I'm going to put another div area, and I'm going to go div class equals content, and then I'm going to go div class equals image, and then inside of that, I'm going to put div class, I'm going to put image, and I'm going to go source equals the variable called image that they're going to put in, and then I'm going to put the width equals 300 to make sure they're all the same width. And then I'm going to go close that off, and then I'm going to put in another div, which is class equals description, which is where the description is going to be held. And inside of that, we're going to take the content of the page, and then I'm also going to just put this save function across the top of it. Then when I go div, close that off, and then we need to close off one more time, and that's that. Switch across to the browser, and then we should see that we've got select a scare icon to see their description. So that's nice and good. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to go across, and we're actually going to start to use that as well. So going in here, we're going to go to our caretaker file, and we're going to go and put in those variables. So going to my Jack the Clown, I'm just going to copy the variables I've got here, because that's what we're going to do. So noticing the 3 hyphens to indicate that we need to use those, and then we're doing the eleventy-navigation. So we've got caretaker here as the key. We're going to put the title of caretaker. I'm simply going to repeat that for the title here. I'm then going to put 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in my image as well. So just taking that from over here and putting that in. That's all done. Switch across to the browser, and we should see here, we've got that caretaker. So let's go to that, and we can see it there. Now that's basically that all inside there. Now you're going to see a little bit of magic here, but we're going to bring in our style sheet. So bringing in our style sheet, I'm simply going to copy it from another place. I'm going to put in this includes. Now the includes is what Eleventy takes and is going to put into the website automatically. So putting that inside of there, the way I'm then going to use it inside my layout is like this. So going across to my core layout, I'm first going to include the file. To do that in Nodejs, I simply do it with this format here. So you can see the set CSS is just me naming it. And then you can see include main styles. And then you can see that in my style tag, I'm actually going to put it here. So I'm going to put it here and do this. Now, once that's done, with all the magic of CSS, you'll see that if I go across to here, I can see that my website's nicely formatted now. So I can see that caretaker, storytaker, and Jack the Clown. So if I go across to here, I can go and navigate and go between them. The nice part is we've gone from these simple markdown files, which we can get people to define right here, and it gets transported into this format here. Now that's our website actually designed and done. So now that Eleventy is taking care of taking those markdown files and producing the website, how do we get it to Azure? Let's switch to the Azure portal. Okay, so we're here inside of the Azure portal. Now the first thing I want to say, I'm doing this as if I was doing it for one of my Australian customers. You can see the location is Australia East. Basically, if you're in the rest of the world, you can also use a static website explicit service, which is inside Azure. But for Australian customers using Australia East and Australia Southeast, you're going to need to use storage accounts for your static websites to ensure the data stays in Australia. So let's show you how to do that. Let's go create resources and let's go storage account. And then inside of here, I'm going to go HHN icon website. And then I'm going to go and put this in Australia East. I'm going to go review and I'm going to go create. Now, like I said, that's going to create a storage account, which we're then going to equip with a static website mode on. So let's let Azure do its thing and let's check back in a couple of seconds. All right, and that looks like it's done now. So let's go to it and then let's configure it to be a static website. So to do that, go to the left-hand side, look for the static website option, go here, hit that to enabled, tell it where to start from. So we do index.html because we know that's where we start from. And then we can go and put our files in. So I'm going to open up Storage Explorer here, and then I'm going to refresh this to find it. I'm going to go here and I'm going to look in my blob containers and notice there's a $web container. That's where I put my files. So I'm simply going to put them in. So dragging and dropping the output of 11t, that's then going to transfer it in. And then what's going to happen is once that is complete, you can see that's nice and complete. We can go across to here and you'll notice this primary endpoint. I'm just going to take that, put that in the browser and refresh that. And what you'll see is when I go to that caretaker, storyteller, and Jack the Clown, that's basically our website hosted on Azure. So I can go ahead and give that URL out to anybody else. So that's how we equip static website mode with an Azure storage container. Let's go ahead and now do a recap of what we just saw. All right, I'm pretty happy with where we got just then. So I've got my website now. So me and my mates can write our markdown descriptions of the scare icon's origin stories, simply transform them, upload to Azure, and then we've got our website ready for the whole world to look at. Now what it means is that when you or anybody else goes to Halloween Horror Nights, you get to know the scare icons a little bit better. You feel more connected to the event because you know their origin story. So it was pretty impressive how fast we did all of it though. And that's why it deserves a recap. So let's do that. So we took markdown description files, threw them at a software library called eleventy. Now we had to write a template that eleventy used to take those markdown files and convert them into static website files. Those static website files we then manually uploaded to Azure. And I'd highly advise that you actually automate that part with a service like Azure DevOps. And I'll show you how to do that in the future. Once that was uploaded, we simply had the Azure storage and we had the URL ready to give out to anybody. Now that's it. I think it's about time that you give this video a like. And if you haven't already, I want you to go and hit the subscribe button, and I'll tell you why, because there's going to be plenty of videos coming out in the future and I'm sure you're going to want to be notified about it. So this is Coder Meets Data, Travis Sansom. I'm going to sign out on this one and I'll see you in the next video.